Heavy pulse, dirty eyes, sweaty clothes.
Here we go. Probably the most polarizing title of 2019 is Hideo Kojima's Death Stranding. I finished the game probably a couple of weeks ago and have been trying to think of how to review this title. I'll come right out and say straight away that this game is not for everyone, and my opinion may differ drastically from yourself. Keep that in mind as we go through this process and I break down a few reasons why giving a person like Hideo Kojima a blank check has led to what is now my favorite game of all time. It is weird saying that looking back on how I progressed through the game. There were a few moments earlier on where I wasn't sure what was happening and had to try and force myself to enjoy it. But as I progressed, as more story elements revealed themselves, more characters became involved, and I unlocked new equipment, I was hooked. Other reviews for this game are all over the place in terms of people's likes and dislikes and whether or not they even recommend playing the game. All the promotional materials and trailers prior to the game's launch show pretty much what to expect in terms of general gameplay. You play as Sam Porter Bridges, who is essentially a courier. The game takes place in a version of America which looks like Scotland, where an apocalyptic event known as the Death Stranding has caused versions of the dead to be left behind in the world of the living. These beings are known as BTs, or Beached Things. To help combat the BTs, you're given a bridge baby, or a BB unit, which is basically a baby in a container strapped to your chest. Why do you have a baby strapped to your chest? Because they're born from still mothers and therefore have a connection to the worlds of both the living and the dead. Of course, didn't you know? This is Kojima, he does what he likes. BBs have the ability of allowing the operative they're connected to see those BTs. Most of my time spent playing the game involved me avoiding the BTs and doing my best to stealth and sneak past them, but you do unlock different weapons along the way to combat them more directly. The main objective of the game is to cross from the east coast of the United States to the west coast, pick up Amelie for reasons and bring her back for more reasons. Along the way you are tasked with connecting different cities and hubs to the chiral network. The chiral network is basically a way for information to be transferred between these centers instantly, ensuring the country is able to stabilize itself and begin again. Sounds kinda simple, right? You're Norman Reedus, going for a walk with a baby to pick up a chick on the other side of the country so you can bring her back and live happily ever after in a new world connected through the power of Monster energy drinks and AMC's Ride with Norman Reedus. Along the way, not only will you be contesting against the BTs, but also mules, who are just bad couriers that try and steal your shit, Troy Baker and his terrorist friends, and the weather. I mention weather because the rain is evil. Timefall, as it's called in the game, is essentially fast-forward rain. Anything touched by the rain is aged rapidly, and that's me keeping it as simple as possible. I don't want to go too much into the story, even though I feel like I might have, because it's worth unraveling and having all your questions answered by just playing the game. But if you know Kojima, you'll know a lot of the story is explained in very lengthy cutscenes. Almost as if some sort of throwback to Metal Gear Solid 4, it's very apparent in the final act of the game, when from the last 3 hours of Death Stranding, just over 2 hours of that is spent watching cutscenes. This does leave a bit of a dampener on things, as some of the stuff explained in the cutscenes throughout the game are generally pretty easy to pick up on just by playing, so it can seem a bit redundant having things explained to you so thoroughly when you've probably already put the pieces together yourself by that point anyway. But again, Hideo Kojima, I expected it and I love it. So, bringing it back to being a courier, you spend the bulk of the game deciding what deliveries to take and in what order. The choices are essentially made based off of the location you'll be delivering the packages to and the overall weight of everything you'll be carrying. The menus were very daunting at first, with the UI being confusing and overcomplicated, with almost unnecessary information being given to you about the packages. But as I got further into the game, navigating it became easier, and determining what packages to deliver and when became pretty simple. Packages are placed on your back, arms, and legs, with vehicles and other means of transportation opening up the further you progress in the game. You do have the option to manually configure the cargo on your back, but I'll be honest when I say I only ever use the automatic configuration of the cargo, which I think most people would have. I mean, the option's there, you may as well use it. Then once you've loaded up your packages, you head on your way. You'll be walking a lot. Like a lot. Like there's so much walking. Even when you do unlock vehicles, a lot of the terrain is almost impassable unless you're on foot, so you'll still be walking. You'll be holding R2 and L2 a lot, as these balance SAM and make sure you don't bail on your way down a hill. You'll want to do your best to not bail, as damaging the cargo makes you look like a dick, and the recipient is not going to be impressed when you rock up with bruised fruit and broken plates. In an almost twisted look at our future, the world of Death Stranding is based on a like system, and you're awarded likes for everything you do, not XP. The better the delivery, the more likes you get. The more people who approve of your random ladder on the side of a cliff, the more likes you get. I would encourage liking any structure you do use in the game, as it does help the player, and ultimately the game is about helping people, so why not? Touching on liking structures you use in the game, multiplayer is integrated by building these structures and even roads to help other porters. While you won't actually run into any other players, you will interact in a different sort of way. Structures you build will appear in other people's games, and structures other people build will appear in yours. When I say structures, these include ladders, ropes, bridges, storage units, timefall shelters, recharging stations for your vehicles, and things like that. I'm not 100% sure on how the groups are selected, but it's a cool feeling seeing the same person's name above different structures and forming a sort of connection with the person that you never actually meet. Combat is fluid, and if you've played Metal Gear Solid 5, you'll know what to expect. The only difference being weapons are considered cargo and therefore contribute to how much you can carry. Do you risk being defenseless in order to reach your destination quicker, have less chance of rolling down a hill, and leaving space open to pick up other porters' lost cargo? Or do you arm yourself to the teeth, leaving yourself incapable of carrying extra cargo, or having it all stolen by the fucking mules should you be incapacitated? Like I mentioned earlier, I did spend a solid chunk of this game avoiding combat when I could, but in the moments when I had to get shit sorted, it was definitely fun. Graphically, I think it's pretty obvious this is the best looking game on PS4, hands down. What Kojima Productions and Guerrilla Games were able to do with the Decima engine is just insane. Countless times did I physically put my controller down and just take in the scenery within this artificially created post-apocalypse. Coupled with what is also probably one of the best video game soundtracks you'll ever experience and an absolutely impeccable score, it's simply incredible stuff all around. While there are some lines in the script that are unbelievably camp and out of place, all the actors involved helped with fantastic performances. Mads Mikkelsen in particular delivers an absolutely stunning performance and really helped bring the whole thing home. This is very much a Hideo Kojima game. The story is in depth and in parts nonsensical, but I wouldn't want it any other way. Everything I've mentioned is incredibly basic, and there is absolutely so much more in the game just waiting to be discovered if you go for it. It took me around 45 hours to finish the main storyline, but there are still probably hundreds of deliveries that I haven't completed. Read the collectibles, complete the random deliveries for people in the middle of nowhere, contribute to the building of structures, and become a legendary porter known by others playing the game as the Great Deliverer. I could honestly talk about this game for a lot longer, but YouTube statistics show that most of you will have probably checked out of this video about 5 minutes ago anyway. Overall, this was an incredible way to see out the decade of gaming, and a fabulous way to start the twilight period of the PS4's life cycle. I can't wait to see what Kojima does next, and will continue my journey to the Platinum Trophy for this masterpiece. Merry Christmas, everyone.
We can say that we tried, but it's never